Welcome and good morning, brothers and sisters. Thank you so much for joining us for our National Family Service. I hope you're having a great Sunday and that you've had a great week. I really want to welcome you to our international community, whether this is your first time with us or if you're joining us previously. Just a couple places that I saw giving greetings in the comments. I want to welcome the Philippines, Chicago, Hayward, California, Vancouver, and Kentucky. So welcome to our family from all around the nation and internationally. Thank you so much for being here. If this is your first time joining us, our community was founded by Father and Mother Moon, whom we call true parents. And their vision is to bring the world together through this vision of one family under God by living for the sake of others and blessing of marriages. So if that sounds interesting to you, you can type #connect in the Facebook chat, or you can go to nationalfamilyservice.org and sign the guest book, and you can learn more. So with that, let's get started with our opening song.
For our opening song today, let's go to Elizabeth, New Jersey, to sing along with the Elizabeth Family Church Band as they play the song, How Great Thou Art.
Stars, I hear the rolling thunder, thy power throughout the universe displayed. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. When through the woods and forest glades I wander, and hear the birds sing sweetly in the trees, when I look down from lofty mountain grandeur, and hear the brook and feel the gentle breeze, then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. And when I think that God his Son not sparing sent him to die, I scarce can take it in, that on the cross my burden gladly bearing, he bled and died to take away my sin. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. When Christ shall come with shouts of acclamation and take me home, what joy shall fill my heart. Then I shall bow in humble adoration and there proclaim, my God, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art, how great thou art, how great thou art.
Good morning, everyone. Hope you're having a wonderful Sunday. Please join me in prayer. Good morning, Heavenly Parent. Thank you so much for joining us this Sunday and every day. I really pray that we can invite you into our homes, invite you into our hearts, and that we can open our ears and open our minds and souls to hear this message today. I really pray that you can be with us as we hear these words from President Naokini, and that we can really resonate with his message and understand what he's telling us from you. I really pray that we can carry these words into our lives, into our days, that we can honor our true mother and that we can honor you. I'm so grateful for all that you bless us with, for this worldwide community that we can join together with each Sunday. I really pray that we can become one in heart, that we can become one family as you desired, and that we can really honor you by honoring each other, by loving each other as brothers and sisters. I'm so grateful that we can come together like this for National Family Sunday service and hear from our wonderful brother, President Naokini. I really pray that you can speak through him today. And I love you so much, Heavenly Parent. Thank you so much. And I report this in my name, Brianna Schneider, Fritz Schneider, Blessed Central Family. Aju.
Let's make our way to Schaumburg, Illinois to hear the song Rescue, performed by the Chicago Music Team.
You are not hidden. There's never been a moment you were forgotten. You are not hopeless. But you have been broken, your innocence stolen. I hear you whisper underneath your breath. I hear your SOS, your SOS. I will send out an army to find you in the middle of the darkest night. Is true, I will rescue you. There is no distance that cannot be covered over and over. You're not defenseless. I'll be your shelter. hardest night is through, I will rescue you. I will never stop marching to reach you in the middle of the hardest fight is true. I will rescue you. I will send down an army to find you in the middle of the darkest night is true. I will rescue you. I will never stop marching to reach you in the middle of the hardest fight is true. I will rescue you. Oh, I will rescue you.
Thank you so much to our wonderful communities for those beautiful songs. And thank you, Brianna, for your beautiful prayer, really lifting up the spirit for us this morning. And brothers and sisters, I really hope you're really ready. I really hope you can feel open and to hear what our Heavenly Parent wants to share with you. So with that, let's all give a warm welcome to our Family Federation President in America, Naokimi Ushiroda. Good morning, President Naokimi.
Good morning, Isaac, and happy Sunday, everybody. Yeah, it's good to see everyone again. Last week, we had some time to honor the legacy of the late Father Moon in commemoration of the 9th anniversary of his passing. Over the next couple of weeks, I would like to share about Mother Moon's life and some lessons that we can apply in our own lives. As I was preparing, actually, I noticed that there were so many things to cover, so I had to break it up into 2 parts. So for today, I'd like to go over kind of the first 40 years of her life, and then next week we'll cover the second half. Mother Moon was born into an occupied Korea. And at the age of 6, right before the Korean War started, she and her family had to move to the South. Let's watch a brief video so we can get a sense of how it was like.
Peace in those days was at best a dream. Communism was on the rise, and as a devout Christian family, we knew we needed to escape south. The distance between my hometown and the 38th parallel was over 200 kilometers. Heading south was not only forbidden, it was almost impossible. There were no good roads, and they plowed the rice fields in a way that was impassable. You couldn't travel by day, and because of the night police, it was dangerous to go at night. Finally, the 38th parallel came into view. I remember it so vividly. I saw a young woman run across the border as if she was escaping death. But our family could not run like that because I was only 6 years old and we were exhausted. By then, I had caught a cold and desperately needed water. So my grandmother went to fetch some from the locals. The police were everywhere, and as I was drinking, they found us. Because we were just women, they did not expect us to defy them. The officer told us, "Go back to your hometown." But after walking 200 kilometers, there was no turning back. So, at the risk of our lives, that very night, we crossed the border. It feels just like yesterday. The first time I met my husband, I knew he was an incredible man. He carried the burdens of the world on his shoulders.
Since my encounter with Jesus, I lived my life with just one thought. I wanted to bring about a world of peace, a world where there are no wars, and where all humankind lives in love.
We were given an incredible cross to bear to fulfill our mission from God. The road to peace has been so hard, it felt virtually impossible to reach our goal. But this is how we lived, day and night. Since my husband's passing, our dream to serve God lives on. I can see the finish line within reach. Just like the police that tried to stop me from crossing the border, some may say that it is not possible. But I am absolutely determined to bring about a world of peace within my lifetime.
Yeah. Watching that video, I kind of, just trying to imagine her life from a very young age, the kind of trials and challenges that she was born into, and also throughout her whole life, the different trials that she faced. From a young age, Mother Moon had really developed a personal relationship with God, partially due to how she was raised by her mother and grandmother. So let's read a little bit from her memoir. I knew from a young age that God is my Father, and naturally connected everything I read to God. I cut off entirely from the harsh secular world and lived a chaste life as if I were a nun. I was aware that a higher power was guiding me, that my path had been prepared in heaven. Especially during this time, the Bible was my close companion. I cried myself to sleep many nights after reading about God's history of creation, the tragic fall, and God's work of salvation carried out through historic figures who took responsibility at the behest of heaven. Actually, Mother Moon and her family started attending our early kind of church movement with Father Moon since she was about 12 years old. Let's continue reading. After reading God's bitter history and his desire to embrace us, even though we give him only pain and sadness, it was not just once or twice that I lay awake, unable to sleep, my heart aching for him. I naturally continued to ponder ever more deeply what Teacher Moon had said to me about sacrifice. The question, what can I sacrifice for God, was shaping my life. As I'm reading these passages from her memoir, I'm imagining being a teenager and asking yourself this kind of question, what can I sacrifice for God? Both Father and Mother Moon had this kind of strong relationship with God at a very early age in their life. And I know that being born into our community, I grew up understanding my identity as God's child, as a blessed child. And even from a young age, I was also instilled with this sense of higher purpose. One of our traditions in our community is that on the 8th day of our lives, basically, every child is offered to God in a prayer and this ceremony to dedicate the child to God as God's child. So I remember, I was too young to remember that ceremony, but I remember every year there'd be a prayer on my birthday where my parents would put their hands on my head and offer this kind of prayer, really wishing or praying to God that I would continue to grow according to God's will and as a son of God. So I remember growing up hearing these stories about Father and Mother Moon, and I was inspired. It gave me this sense of direction and purpose and this desire to want to be like them in their devotion to God, in their devotion to really fulfilling God's will. Another significant stage in Mother Moon's journey was accepting her role as the bride. So let's go into this. There are a few steps that she went through in that process. The first step was understanding God's will for her. Let's read. More than anything else for his bride to be, Father Moon was looking for a person with a sacrificial and devoted heart of living for others. She had to be a woman with absolute faith who could love the world. She had to be a woman who could conceive of saving the world. I had come to understand God's will, but I couldn't say anything. To recognize the bride was Father Moon's mission and responsibility. This last line stood out to me because it's pretty amazing. Mother Moon knew who she was and her role before Father Moon chose her. Before she was called, she on her own was able to understand that this was her future role. And this level of conviction at such a young age is phenomenal. The next step was actually receiving the call from God. Let's read. One day, not long after that, I heard God's voice. The time is near. Then I heard God's voice again. I am the Alpha and Omega, and I have been waiting for the Mother of the universe since the creation of the world. When I heard those words, I knew what my future was to be, and it settled in my heart and created an ocean of calm. I've had a few experiences in my life where I heard the voice of God in my mind and soul, and the feeling is unforgettable. It's not just the content of the words, but there's the tone of voice and an overall sense of God's presence. I also remember feeling this calming presence when I heard God's voice. The next step after hearing the calling was accepting the calling to be the bride. Let's read. For the salvation of all of humankind and realization of a world of peace, I determined myself and declared before Father Moon that I would rise to the position of the true parent. I pledge before God and Father Moon, no matter how difficult the path may be, I will complete God's providence of restoration during my lifetime. I have defined and lived my life with that commitment. So imagine at the age of 17 to make that kind of pledge to God and to Father Moon, to be his bride and the mother of humanity. So it's one thing to hear the voice of God. It's one thing to kind of get this sense and understanding of what your mission is supposed to be. But it's another to actually say yes and to say, I will do it. And at that young age of 17, Mother Moon was able to make that kind of pledge and commitment. And then there was the actual holy wedding. Let's read. God's predestined will was that his only begotten son and daughter would become one flesh through the marriage supper of the Lamb, and that through them the dwelling place of God would be with men and women. The holy wedding finally realized this ideal, which Adam and Eve had failed to achieve. After the ceremony, Father Moon and I, as husband and wife, ate at the same table for the first time. Our thoughts were fixed only upon God and the church. Nonetheless, I treasured every glance we shared and felt a love infinitely profound, a holy love that we wish to bequeath to all humankind. So this last sentence really stood out to me. This, Mother Moon came into this with this absolute commitment, but just imagining that moment of sitting together with Father Moon at the table for the first time. And, both of their determination is for God, is for the church, is for the providence, but at the same time, this shared experience of love that was infinitely profound, a holy love. And Mother says here that she wanted to share and bequeath this kind of love that is holy, this kind of love that is infinitely profound, that she wanted to bequeath this to all humankind. So this is beyond the normal kind of just love relationship or attraction relationship in marriage, but really having this sense of common higher purpose together as a couple. And this was the birth of the blessing movement. Now, right after the holy wedding, things weren't all rosy. There was a very challenging, difficult 7-year course that Mother Moon had to go through to establish herself in her new role. Let's read. As much as Father walked the road of the cross and tribulation to be ordained in his position, I was also given an incredible cross to bear in order to become mother. I had to reach for perfection. That standard is so high that sometimes I felt it was virtually impossible to attain the goal. Throughout that tremendous ordeal and hardship, patience, perseverance, and extraordinary faith were needed to achieve the expectation of God. So this is her experience, after the holy wedding. She felt so much challenge that she had to go through. And also we can take a look from what Father Moon has to say about this time. So this is Father Moon. Those first 7 years were Mother's training session. Since Mother continually persevered, since she was patient and silent and maintained her faith in me, eventually the whole environment of accusation was reversed and became one of respect and admiration. During this time, I never told her, "You must understand this. Persevere and win because I am doing this on purpose." Mother had to figure it out herself. Persevere in her own understanding, in her own right. So I didn't go into detail this time, but apparently Father Moon had to pretty much ignore Mother Moon for the first 7 years. And even though they were married, he really treated her as almost like a servant. And it sounds cruel, but you have to understand that during that time, there were other people who felt that they were supposed to be the bride. And so there was tremendous amount of persecution and jealousy from some of the women. Of course, there were those who were supportive as well. But to stand in that role, everyone had this high expectation of who Mother was supposed to be. And so she had to go through that kind of trial. And Father Moon had to really not give her preferential treatment in order for the members to feel almost sorry for her so that they can start to support her instead of continuing to accuse her and judge her. Well, I actually got blessed in marriage together with my wife when we were both 20 years old. And I remember having to go through this whole process in preparation in my faith, in my relationship with my parents, with my understanding of Father and Mother Moon as true parents, and also in my faith in God to trust the whole process. But I remember that throughout that whole process, it was instilled in me that our marriage was not just for our sake, that this marriage was for a higher purpose. So it was not just a promise to my wife, but it was a promise to God. It was a promise to true parents. It was promised to my own parents that I was going to really commit to this relationship. And I believe this is the distinguishing difference between the marriage blessing and regular marriage. It's a marriage with a purpose. Beyond personal happiness with each other, it's for a higher purpose that we get married. Another significant aspect of Mother Moon's life was giving birth to and raising 14 children over 20 years. This is from the age of 17 to 39. Even before our wedding, with God's providence at the forefront of my mind, I resolved to have 13 children. I gave birth to 14 children over a period of 20 years. The first 4 were born in our small private quarters at Chompadong. It was not until my 5th child that I was able to go to a hospital. Though it taxed my body, I gave birth to children year after year. Our second daughter died a few days after her birth. It is rare for a woman to go through a C-section more than once. When I said that I would undergo it for the 3rd time, my doctor hesitated, saying it was dangerous, especially for a woman my age. I assured him that my husband would agree with me, and I went through it for a 3rd and then a 4th time, thus fulfilling the promise I had made to God. There's not much I can say about this. It's just hard to believe, but I never gave birth, but I did witness my wife giving birth twice, and that was excruciating for both of us. I'm sure more for her, but it wasn't easy being there as well. I'm not sure exactly the reason why Mother felt compelled to have that many children, but I do know that Father Moon has stated that there are 12 different personality types, and that we need to learn to love and all types of people in order to really expand our heart completely. So, Father Moon always encouraged our members to have many children for that reason. So Mother Moon may have felt that having at least 12 children was a condition to love and be a mother to all humanity. Now, there were naturally some challenges that Mother Moon had to go through in raising a large family. Let's read. Although I had 14 children, I never once thought that I had too many. Nonetheless, my children had to go through difficult experiences. While in Korea, they were criticized for being the sons and daughters of Sun Myung Moon. And when we moved to the United States, they faced discrimination for being Asian. It pained me to see my children suffer, but I did not lament or blame others. I held them in my arms and set an example for them by offering prayers of gratitude. I guess the reason why I'm going through kind of these aspects of Mother's life is to show that, being in this role as the mother of humanity is not a kind of glorious role. You have to think, what kind of experiences and trials do you need to overcome to really understand what it means to be the mother of humanity? Means that you need to go through all these kind of trials, the human experience, and be able to kind of overcome them all. So here I see, the heart of a mother witnessing your innocent children suffer. And even during this time, I remember that one of her children died in a car accident. So imagine having to go through all of that while also carrying this burden of being with Father Moon in this kind of global providence. Speaking of which, another major challenge was having to attend Father Moon in his providential work while being a mother of her children. Let's read. My eldest daughter asked, "Mother, where are you going this time?" That is the first thing my children would ask when they saw me take out a suitcase and start packing. I was away from my children more than I was with them. Nonetheless, I would try to find time to buy postcards, and at the end of the day, though it was often past midnight, I would write letters to my children. The fact that I could not spend much quality time with my children due to my various public responsibilities always weighed on my mind. I know it's hard on the children, but it's also hard on the parents. Many of the second generation who were born into the unificationist community experienced this kind of pain of parents being absent due to their mission, especially those that are kind of my age and older. And I myself feel this challenge every day, like maintaining a balance between my mission and also time with my family. But just know that as a parent, you cannot help but not feel this desire, this pain of not being able to spend as much time as you know that your children want and that they deserve. The challenge was, both Mother Moon and Father Moon had this higher kind of mission, this calling to serve all of humanity, not just their immediate children. So that's a short synopsis of the first half of Mother Moon's life and some kind of key aspects that I was able to point out. There's so much more, and I want to encourage everyone to take a look at her whole memoir, The Mother of Peace, and you can get a much more detailed account of her life. But there's a few lessons that I feel we can learn from Mother's life about the qualities of Mother Moon. The first one that I want to really point out is that throughout her whole life, one theme constantly comes up, which is that she is a devoted daughter to God. The reason why she, even from a young age, she felt that God is her father, and she devoted her life from a young age to God's will, accepted her calling to be the bride, and even now is continuing to pursue God's dream. Why? Because she feels compelled as God's daughter to liberate God's heart. She really wants to fulfill God's dream. And that's why I feel like this is one quality that I really see in Mother Moon. The second quality that I noticed was a loyal wife to Father Moon. She practiced absolute faith, love, and obedience to Father Moon. During that 7-year course where she was really being ignored, she still had faith that there was a reason, that she had to go through this trial, that she had to overcome all the different difficulties that a mother could face. She knew she had to go through, and she trusted that everything that she was going through was part of God's will and also part of what she needed to do as a loyal wife to Father Moon. She also, despite having a big family, she was always there besides Father Moon in all of the major rallies and tours. She was always there right beside him. And the final thing from this first half that I noticed was being a steadfast mother to her 14 children. I know that there's, criticism and concerns about just not being able to fully take care of her children. But I mean, imagine it's hard enough to take care of 2 children. To take care of 14 is a Herculean task. And also, especially when carrying such a big responsibility of caring for the whole world. So despite her global responsibility, I know that her heart towards her children was still there, concern and love. And it's not always able to be offered in terms of spending quality time, but I know that that's always been on her heart while carrying the greater responsibilities. So I'd like to conclude this first part of Honoring Mother Moon with just a little bit of guidance from her about our future. She had recently a statement last week during Father's Songhwa or Ascension ceremony. So let's read. Our dream is to have one family of 7.8 billion people attending the Heavenly Parent, as children receiving his love and living according to the original ideal of creation. You must educate and guide all people so that they can do so. So in this one statement, she summarizes her vision that we need to create this environment where all of humanity attends God as our Heavenly Parent. And again, this really shows through that her heart has been always to build this kind of relationship with God, that we as children really bring joy back to God. So here's some guidance from her about the direction for our young people. Young people who are to lead in the future must focus their minds, do well in their studies, and lead lives of sincere faith. Armed with wisdom and practical experience, they can build upon and surpass their parents' filial heart for heaven. This is why I'm intentionally guiding future leaders for the establishment of God's kingdom of Cheongyeoguk, which means in Korean, kingdom of heaven, under the name Hyojeong-rang, or youth of filial heart. So again, she has great hope for the youth to inherit this heart of filial devotion to God, and plus with the proper study and determination that they can use their skills to contribute substantially to building God's kingdom here on earth. Okay, this is one more quote, creating an environment in which our second and third generation will naturally attend the Heavenly Parent and return love, joy, and glory to Him. So again, her theme throughout all her life and messages has been this filial piety to God. And this is consistent with how Father Moon also led his life. Everything was about liberating the heart of God. So the secret to developing your life of faith, well, I would agree with Mother Moon that it's all about cultivating this filial devotion to God. In Korean terms, it's called Hyojeong. And how to do that, I would say we can study and mimic the life of the examples of true sons and a true daughter of God. So by looking at the life of Jesus, of Father Moon, of Mother Moon, we can take note from their life and see how we can also apply the same kind of qualities, same kind of heart and experiences that they went through. In conclusion, I would say from an early age, Mother Moon really cultivated her heart as a daughter of God. And despite all the challenges that she faced, that devotion that she had towards God and her loyalty to her husband and to humanity kept her going. So let's also seek to develop this filial heart towards God by studying the life examples of people like Jesus, Father and Mother Moon, and apply it in our lives. One quick tip is you can ask yourself the question when you're in any situation, what would Jesus do in this situation? What would Father do? What would Mother do? And that way we can always kind of connect with their life as examples of what it means to be a son or daughter of God. Tune in next week for part 2 of Honoring Mother Moon, where we'll take a look at the second half of her life. God bless you, everyone, and have a great week.
All right. Thank you so much, President Alkimi, for this message. Yeah, I'm really, really grateful for today's message you could share on not just the life, but the vision and the impact of Mother Moon. And this is just part 1, so I'm really looking forward to part 2. Yeah, for me, one point that was really coming up was, thinking about how Mother could make this kind of commitment in such a young age, and even in her older age, she's continuing to march forward, continuing to work, to push herself. And one point you mentioned was that it was this feeling of devotion, or this sense of being a devoted daughter that she felt from such a young age, this closeness to our Heavenly Parent. So I thought that was really a great point that we can really strive for, we can really model from Father and Mother Moon. So thank you for your message. And brothers and sisters, with that, let's take a moment to reflect on our reflection question. Today, our question is, what inspires you about Mother Moon's life? All right, thank you, brothers and sisters, for taking that time. So I also want to encourage everybody, if you, so I'm getting a little echo, but if you felt like you gained something meaningful from today's message, then I want to encourage you to please share this, today's message, today's Sunday service with any friends or family. And as we continue to reflect on this, we're going to have some live reflections to hear their thoughts and their, maybe their stories. So I brought a couple friends with me to join me this morning. So let's welcome Laura Leah and Taishi Minosoko. They're going to share a little bit. Good morning, y'all. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning, Isaac.
Thank you. Thanks so much for being here. So let's start with you, Laura. Why don't you share what really connected with you from today's message?
I was so moved by President Naokimi's summary that's of such a huge, amazing life. The thing that struck me the most is that Mother Moon determined that she will create a world of peace in her lifetime. So when I was 4 years old, my mother showed me a building that had a nuclear bomb shelter logo on it. We were walking on the way to kindergarten. And ever since that day, I just dedicated my life to peace. So I went to an Ivy League school. My goal was to be a professor at Harvard and teach future presidents of nations how to make peace. Wow. So when I got to school, I realized that nobody in the whole world knows how to make peace. And I'm so grateful that here we are today. If you go to Amazon for $5, you can buy True Mother's memoir. And she sees peace like she saw the 38th parallel. She saw the 38th parallel, and it was not possible to get there, but they walked 200 kilometers with a 6-year-old and a grandma and ignored the police and risked their lives and got to South Korea. So when she says she's going to make world peace, I believe her. She can make the impossible possible. So that's my reflection. I'm so grateful that for Naokimi-san's, President Naokimi's beautiful summary. And I'm so grateful that we can go to Amazon and find out how world peace is going to come and how our world is completely different than it was 100 years ago because of Father and Mother Moon. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Laura. Yeah, thank you for giving that promotion, Mother's Memoir. Yeah, it's available, and it's really a wonderful book. You can get a deeper look into her life, as you mentioned. And I thought that was such a powerful point you shared, that Mother, in that video, I think it captured it a little bit, right? That some people say it can't be done. As you mentioned, people have no idea how it can be done. But Mother and Father Moon, they're really set on completing this vision of world peace, of one family under God. And namely, Mother Moon said she wants to have this complete in her lifetime. And nothing's going to stop her, like you said. So thank you so much for sharing that. And how about you, Taishi? What really connected with you today?
Yeah, thank you. Really grateful for President Naokimi, your point in your sermon. And I think, I really aligned and I really agree with what Mrs. Laura was talking about. Really, Mother is in the forefront of peace, and she's not coming out and saying, oh no, you have to do these certain policies in order to change and bring peace to the world. But she really practices peace and it shows it in her own life. And I think, there's so many, I think, amazing points that I feel in my day-to-day life. It's just incredible how much Mother is always practicing. And I think one thing was, of course, commitment to God. And I think also despite all of the things happening to her in her life, she stuck true to Father, or she stuck true to God, and also the gratitude toward everything in life. Father, when Father had to give Mother the 7-year trial, and having to go through the period of being ignored by her own husband, or even her children having to endure so much persecution or discrimination. Despite all of those things, she was showing you got to practice gratitude and thanks despite that. And I think in my life there's so many things of feeling lack of love, or not feeling cared for by others, or so many unfair situations happen. And it's so easy to be like complaining about those things and just blame the world. But mother always stuck true to God and said, I can change myself and I can love others despite all of those things. And the understanding that God still loves her despite all of the things that she goes through. So to me, I think I just felt, wow, I need to practice that in my own day-to-day life, to be grateful to God despite what I go through. So yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Taishi. Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think that was a great point that President Akimi brought up, is that, right, we're so lucky we have these two people, Father and Mother Moon, as models of how to be, a true person, how to be a God-centered person. Like you were sharing, how to be a grateful person in spite of suffering or in spite of difficulties, to really thank God for the things that we have. And that, like you said, that's something that Mother shows on a daily basis and even throughout her life. Having these 14 children, raising them in a difficult situation, but still being able to feel gratitude to God. So thank you, Taishi, for sharing that. Yeah, that's really a wonderful point. Well, I want to thank you both for joining me, for sharing your reflections. I really appreciate it. Yeah, some really great points you shared today. See y'all later. Bye-bye. And thank you, brothers and sisters. So as we continue to reflect on today's message, we're just going to go to our challenge for today's, or for this week. And our challenge is to commit to and start reading Mother's memoir. If you haven't, please read it. You can read it from cover to cover. And if you've done that already, you can share it with somebody else. As Laura mentioned, it's available on Amazon. I think they even have a promotion going on right now, so please check that out. And with that, let's have our closing prayer.
Now let's join Ina Namvula for our closing prayer.
Thank you. Please join me in prayer. Our dear and loving Heavenly Parents, true parents in Jesus Christ, thank you for this wonderful Sunday and the opportunity to gather for our National Family Service, to hear your words and learn about our true mother, your only begotten daughter from President Akimi. Heavenly Parents, I pray we can carry the message from today in our hearts, and that we can honor our true mother, our true father, and you with our words and action. That our lives can be living testimonies of your love as it has been for our true parents. As we go on with our day and week, we may follow our true mother's example and seek out fellowship with you, not just on Sundays, but every day, Heavenly Parent, and that we can develop a personal relationship with you and be devoted children to you. I pray that we can share your love with everyone we interact with and encounter, and that we can embody what it means to be a blessed family, blessed couple, and blessed children, and that we can realize the ideal of your creation. I pray and ask that you're with all the families gathered here today, and all my brothers and sisters around the world, even if they may or may not know of you, and that we can share your love with everyone. I offer up this prayer in my name, Ina Namvula, daughter of Betsy Namvula of Central Blessed Family, and all the Central Blessed families represented here today. Amen and Aju.
And for our closing song, let's go to San Diego, California, to hear the band All the Above perform the song, The One I'm Running To.
Midnight, staring at the bills and rubbing red eyes, ain't adding up to nothing but some hard times. He's feeling like a failure in life. Head down, part of him is tempted just to skip town, but deep inside he knows enough to cry out. God, I'm tired of fighting this fight. I'm running low on faith, but I won't run. baptize my heart. You are everything that's good and right and true. Jesus, I'm coming after who you are. You are the one I'm running to. Everything that's good and right and true. Jesus, I'm coming after who you are. You are the one I'm running to. You're the one I'm running to.
All right. Thank you, San Diego family, for that energetic song. I'd like you in off your closing prayer. Yeah, really beautiful, bringing us together as one family. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for joining us today. If you were inspired by today's message or you had a great time, there's two things you can do. You can go to nationalfamilyservice.org and you can click the Give button to support this ministry. I'm grateful for any and all of the support that you can give. You can also type #donate in the Facebook chat. And I also want to encourage you to share today's message with any friends, family, or neighbors. And with that, brothers and sisters, I hope you have a wonderful week. We're really excited and looking forward to part 2. And thank you so much for joining us. Have a great week, everyone. Bye-bye. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Sound